Welcome to Chatting the Pictures. My name is Cara Finnegan, and I'm a writer, teacher, and historian of photography.
And I'm Michael Shaw. I'm a writer, a psychologist, and also publisher of Reading the Pictures.
Why did this photo go viral? Because it's the perfect illustration of the climate crisis torching the status quo.
John Sibley took this photo for Reuters Pictures. It shows a security officer giving water to a member of the Queen's Guard outside Buckingham Palace on July 18, 2022, during England's record-breaking heat wave. Even in the hottest weather, sentry duty lasts 2 hours, featuring bearskin hats that weigh 1.5 pounds.
Old world rituals persist, even in the era of climate catastrophe. But this photo really invites us to think about the cost of that. One of the reasons these photos attracted so much attention is that they highlight how the orderliness of the institution is being disrupted by the weather. Not just in the case of these guards at Buckingham Palace, but across institutions in general. This photo is one of several photos that circulated in the news of the guards at Buckingham Palace. There's other photos that show more explicitly the effects of the heat on the guards, close-ups of sweaty faces. There are even photos of other guards literally marching to serve their colleagues water on a tray with fine china. So on the one hand, these are photos of helping. And I'm very sure the individual guards who were sweating it out were really grateful for the water. But on the other hand, the institution's response metaphorically seems weak. What does a bottle of water do, or even worse, a teacup full of water, do in the face of the climate crisis?
Yeah, when you look at all the accompanying images, especially the back and the forth with the teacups, it really shows like how meager and trivial our response to a existential crisis is. And that's why I really love the scale of this image, especially compared to all of those much tighter shots, because with all the dead space here, it really lets you focus on the futility of business as usual. It's not just about one person's stress, but what it brings in is also the larger involvement of the institution and the greater culture.
I'm glad you talked about the openness of the space in this photo because there's no green space in sight here, is there? What you get is an insight into the extent to which humans, in creating a built environment, have had a direct impact on the climate around them. Interestingly, a group called Climate Central has created and publicized models that show the rise in high tide levels that could occur if particular kinds of environmental policies aren't put in place. They have labeled Buckingham Palace as one of the global landmarks that would be affected by the rising of tides. At its most extreme version of their model, they created images that show how high tides might actually roll halfway up to the front door of Buckingham Palace, and they would cover that guard box with water up to about the guard's waistline. That's another context for interpreting this image. If you imagine water up to the waistline of the guard, how much is that little bottle of water really going to help the problem?
One thing we've been taking note of in many past episodes is the representation of climate change in different news visuals. And this one, even though it launched so many memes and was a source of so much ridicule, it's actually pretty good. People really got the message from this picture. And in that respect, it's really like a wake-up call. And in contrast to all the fountain and water play images, this really aligns really closely with the photos of the heat emergency. Just like that photo of the woman who fainted just outside the palace gates, or the pictures we saw of people suffering in the underground. And then there's other images that were published of people being taken away in ambulances. So this picture really does its job that way.
So when we talk about the ineffectiveness of institutions, there's a single visual detail in this photo that I think really captures that. If you look at the lamppost on the left side of the image, at the very top is a teeny tiny, shiny little crown. Presumably that is meant to connote the location. We're at Buckingham Palace. The Queen lives there. But to me, it really serves as almost kind of a punctuation mark on this question of the climate crisis.
This photograph really screams for the need to examine how we do business. If governments and leaders can't get the policy right, what will there even be left to guard?